Hey guys, this is JelliSoft here for part 2 of my tutorial number 2. So the reason why I'm doing this is to try and keep the question sets in line with the tutorial number so it's easy to follow. And I really wanted to give you guys some more knowledge before I release my next question set, because you can really get creative with this little bit more knowledge that I'm just about to give you. So we should see some really interesting answers from you guys, and maybe you can start developing your own programs that are actually really interesting. So last lesson I was telling you guys basically how C++ deals with numbers and operations. This lesson I'm kind of going to be introducing C++'s attempt at algebra. So it's basically assigning a letter or a word to a number. Now there's two ways we can do this. If a number or a piece of data will be constant throughout the program, we can declare a constant. So to do that, we write above the function main, in with all this include statement, all our include statements. You can write const, and then you declare the data type that your constant will take. So I'm going to declare an integer data type, and then you name it. So I'm going to call it home for no apparent reason at all. Anyways, let's let that equal 3. So we assigned it the value of 3. Alright, if we go down to our function main and type in a little bit of code, we can see how it works. So we can go home equals home. Alright, and this should say home equals 3 when we run it, and there we go, home equals 3. So that's all sweet. The next thing we can do is we can declare a variable. Now this will be something, a piece of data that may change throughout the program, and generally these are labelled in lowercase. To declare a variable in our function main, what we do is we state the data type of the variable. So let's make an integer, and then you name your variable. So I'm going to name it A. And then it's possible to create an additional integer variable by separating it with a comma and writing down your next one. So here we've created the integer variable A and B, right? And let's generate a double as well and call it C. The next thing we have to do is, so we can perform operations with these variables, we need to declare what they're equal to. So let's go A equals 4. Let's go B equals 5, 6. And then let's go C equals, no, let's print something out first. So we'll go C out, A plus B equals, and then go, right, and let's run this program. So we get A plus B equals 10, 4 plus 6. Pretty simple. Okay, now let's say we want this value to be stored in C. So the way we do this is we go C equals, and then we write A plus B. Or we could write 10. And then semicolon that off. We can see this how it works. C equals C. There we go, C equals 10. So that's how you declare and initialize variables. Now, there is an additional variable and this is called the string variable. If you remember last tutorial, I kind of mentioned that anything inside these two quotations is known as a string. Now, a string can also be a data type. However, for C++ to recognize this, we have to not write an additional include statement. We have to go include and then go string. And down here we can now declare a string variable. We could go string. Notice it won't highlight it with pretty colors and whatnot. And then let's call it string s. And here we can go s equals. Remember, we have to put our quotations for it to be a string. Let's call it hello world part 2. Okay? And down here, let's just make another cout statement. Let's go cout s. Okay? And that should print out hello world part 2 down the bottom. There we go. So that's basically the string variable. You can have string variables. Alright, I did promise you guys that I was going to revisit the topic of the char variable. The char data type, sorry. Now, the char data type only works between the values of negative 127 and 127. So it's all well and good for small operations with small numbers. However, you've got to be careful that the product of these numbers, or the result of an operation of these small numbers, does not exceed those boundaries, because if it does, there's going to be errors, and normally the compiler will not tell you that there's an error. But the other useful thing that a char variable is good for is that it represents all the keys on your keyboard. And so, for example, the number A might relate to the char variable, the char value of 56 maybe. I'm not sure. There's a standard table. I think it's the ASCII, I think. And they name the conventions for all the keys associated with their numbers in the char variable. And so to allocate this, let's go char C. To store the particular key in a char variable, you have to have single quotation marks. So we have to go C equals, wait, let's not call it C, because we've got a double C. Let's call it Y. We have to go char Y equals, and then S. Okay, so that's how you enter the key S into the char variable. Alrighty. Next, what I want to tell you guys is how to deal with input. All we've been dealing with is output. All we've been doing is printing things on screens and doing operations and then printing them. But they're kind of useless unless you can specify what you want your variables to be, so we can work with them more efficiently, have a bit of a user interface. So the way we do this is, it's similar to the cout command. It's called the sin. I'm not sure if it's pronounced like that. What we do is we type sin, reverse the arrows. I hope I've got them the right way. We'll soon find out. And then anything after the arrows, whatever's stored, whatever's typed on the keyboard is stored in that variable. So let's go sin A. And let's go double A. Okay? And then let's cout A equals A. Alright, so what this is going to do is we're going to have to type in a decimal number and then it's going to print it out for us. What we have to do before though is we have to prompt the user to enter a decimal number, otherwise they won't know. Okay? Let's make this nice, put a few... Alrighty, so let's see how this works out. Alright, enter a decimal number, so I'm going to go 56.1. And then it immediately quits. Not sure why. Let's try and run that again. Okay. What this statement here does is it waits for any key to be pressed. So as soon as we press this A key, this is initiated, I guess. So let's change this a bit. Let's go sin and store it as B, and let's create another double B. Alright, we'll see how this runs. 12.1, prints out the number, we print another number, press enter, and it exits. Alright, so that was a bit of creativity. This is what you guys can start doing. You can start solving problems using your knowledge you've got. I'm not sure why that didn't run before, but we have found a new solution for it. So this concludes my part 2 for tutorial 2, and I'll put some questions up shortly. And hopefully you guys get down, get creative, and get programming. That should be my motto. Alrighty, thanks for listening guys, and I'll post a video next week.